So now we're in section 9.2 at the top of page 1 of the notes. And let's just recall what we've been mentioning throughout 9.1, that to separate out a radical using either addition or subtraction, it's not equal. So let's just convince ourselves of that one more time. This is just an example, but it should be enough to convince you that this would happen with all numbers. This does not work to be able to split it and say that it's the same thing. Okay, so if you have radical 25, in other words, what times what equals 25, that would be a positive 5. And if you have radical 144 or square root of 144, those mean the same thing. What times what gives you 144? That would be 12. And when you add those together, 5 plus 12, you get a value of 17. Over here, the radical is over the entire addition, so you're going to add that first. The radical acts as like a grouping symbol, so we're going to take care of those things inside that group first. 25 plus 144 gives you 169, and radical 169 is actually 13, because 13 times 13 gives you 169. Notice that 17 and 13 are not equal to each other. Okay. So these two original expressions are not equal to each other. However, in terms of multiplication and division, roots and exponents, multiplication and division are all in the family. They're all in the same family. So what you have here is this concept that if you can have two radicals multiplied together, and that's the same as if you multiplied underneath that radical. Okay, so let's look at that. Radical 25 times radical 144, that would be 5 times 12, that would get you 60. Well, let's look at what would happen if we had had both of those underneath to begin with. Well, what's 25 times 144? That would give you 3,600. And what's the square root of 3,600? Well, that's 60. Notice they're equal to each other. Okay. So, so what we want to highlight here as we start this section is that roots, exponents, multiplication, and division are all in what I like to call the family. They're all in the same family here, so we can go back and forth, back and forth. It's kind of like when you know, you're all out, you're at a big family reunion and you're moving from the restaurant to the park, and it really doesn't matter what car you ride in as long as you all go to the same park and you all still end up in the same family reunion. Okay, now when you add and subtract, you know, that doesn't work when you're in the family. It's just all multiplication, division, roots, exponents, that you can go back and forth, and it's not going to change your answer. You cannot do that with adding or subtracting, but you can do it, this idea of split, with multiplication. You can also do it with division, which we'll look at in a little bit.